I drove a top-secret test car worth $2 billion to get a tire patched, but the boss of the shady auto repair shop secretly sprinkled a handful of iron shavings into my transmission. Holding a wrench and leading a few tattooed thugs, he surrounded me, insisting on extorting $80,000 for a transmission assembly replacement. I didn't argue or make a scene. I obediently scanned the QR code and paid. I just begged him to stamp the repair receipt with their big red official seal. The moment I walked out the door, I dialed the confidential hotline of the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology and the Municipal Criminal Investigation Brigade. Hello, I want to report a crime. Our country's next-generation top-secret power box, which cost $2 billion to develop, has been stolen. At 3 p.m., I was driving a sedan covered in black and white zebra camouflage wrap along National Highway 104. To outsiders, this car without even a logo looked as ugly as an assembled prototype, but only I knew that beneath this ugly wrap lay the next-generation maglev matrix power chassis, developed by Xinhua Auto Group over 3 years at a cost of $2 billion. This was the top-secret trump card that could truly allow domestic new energy vehicles to overtake the competition. Today was my final long-distance anti-fatigue road test. As long as I drove past the mountain ahead, this national-level classified project could be officially archived. However, an accident happened right at that moment. A violent bang suddenly came from the front right tire. Immediately after, the steering wheel jerked sharply to the right, and an explosive sense of losing control instantly washed over me. I gritted my teeth and desperately steadied the wheel. I didn't slam on the brakes. Instead, I pumped the brakes, forcefully bringing this 2-ton steel beast to a steady halt in the emergency lane. Pushing the door open, the smell of burnt rubber hit my face. I squatted down and looked at the completely flat front right tire, my brows instantly knitting into a tight knot. I pulled out the nail stuck in the tire and took a look. To my shock, it was a brand new triangular iron nail welded with barbs. This was no accident, nor was it scattered construction debris. This was a trap deliberately set by someone. Just as I took out my phone, ready to call the group's internal special rescue vehicle, a piercing roar of a diesel engine approached from behind. A battered light tow truck with flashing yellow warning lights, like a fly smelling blood, stopped steadily in front of me. The door was kicked open, and a bald man in greasy overalls with a dragon tattoo over his shoulder jumped down. "Oh, bro, got a flat? Out here in the middle of nowhere? You're lucky you ran into me. Get in, I'll tow you to the town ahead for $500. I shot him a cold glance. No need. I've called my company's rescue truck. It'll be here soon. This test car involved $2 billion in commercial secrets. According to the confidentiality agreement, it absolutely could not enter any unauthorized third-party repair shop." Hearing this, the bald man's face instantly darkened. He forcefully patted my zebra-striped hood. "What rescue? Don't you know the rules on this road? Your car is blocking traffic here. It must be towed immediately, or the traffic cops will impound it when they get here." As his voice fell, 2 more burly men jumped down from the tow truck's passenger side, carrying large, long-handled wrenches. One on the left, one on the right. They skillfully blocked my path. Their eyes revealed the arrogance of having me completely at their mercy. If I made a move now or forcibly locked the car and left, these thugs would likely get enraged and violently smash the car. Smashing the shell was a minor issue, but if the top-secret sensors in the chassis were damaged, this $2 billion R&D effort would go down the drain. I took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in my heart, and put on the cowardly look of an out-of-town driver. "Fine, tow it. But my car has a low chassis, so load it slowly. Should have been this cooperative from the start," the bald man sneered. 10 minutes later, the test car was towed into a large yard enclosed by sheet metal. Above the gate hung a few shaky, large characters: Jesuo Auto Repair. The yard was covered in pitch-black engine oil stains and discarded parts. The air was filled with the pungent smell of cheap oil. The most ironic part was that on the wall of the reception room facing the gate hung a dust-covered pennant. "Honest business, fair to all." The tow truck had just unloaded my car when a man with a beer belly and a thick gold chain around his neck strolled over. He was the manager and boss here, Wang Chang. Wang Chang circled my test car twice, his stubby fingers knocking hard on the black and white camouflage wrap. "What kind of piece of junk is this? Doesn't even have a logo. Must be some domestic knockoff. Even slapped a zebra wrap on it to pretend it's a sports car. Broke losers these days sure have a lot of tricks." I kept my head down and didn't retort, acting like a submissive, bottom-tier worker. "Boss, I just drive for my company's boss. This is just some off-brand test drive car. I hit a nail at the intersection. Just change the spare tire for me. I still have to rush back to report." Wang Chang narrowed his eyes and looked me up and down. My faded old work clothes, my exhausted face, and my deliberately faked out-of-town accent. In his eyes, I was already equated to a juicy, tender piece of fat meat on the chopping block. A greedy smirk crept up the corner of Wang Chang's mouth. "Change the spare tire, huh? Sure. Ah Long, hoist the car up and give this brother a good inspection." The tattooed mechanic named Ah Long grunted in agreement, his eyes shifting as he slipped into the driver's seat and drove the car onto the lift. Accompanied by the piercing roar of the hydraulic pump, this industrial masterpiece carrying Xinhua Group's highest-level commercial secrets was hoisted into midair by a few thugs. Wang Chang pulled over a grease-stained plastic chair and sat down, probing. Bro, which company are you from? Seeing as your car doesn't even have a logo, it's not some illegally assembled black market car, is it? I put on a timid look and said, it's not a black market car, boss. It's just from some unknown, off-brand little company. My boss told me to take it out to break it in. Please hurry and change the spare tire for me. I still need to rush back to clock in. Hearing the words off-brand and clock in, the last trace of hesitation in Wang Qiang's eyes completely vanished. He shot a highly covert look at Ah Long under the car. The tattooed mechanic Ah Long got the hint. He pretentiously held a flashlight, shining it around the undercarriage. The chassis of this test car was tightly wrapped in a solid piece of black carbon fiber skid plate. There were no traditional mechanical drivetrains exposed. Ah Long knocked on the skid plate, seemingly feeling like he had nowhere to start. Wang Qiang coughed heavily. Ah, Long, didn't you eat? Check it carefully for this, brother. The tire blew out so badly. Don't let the chassis get damaged. Got it, boss. Ah Long's eyes darted around. While I wasn't paying attention, he quickly scooped a ladle of pitch-black engine oil from a waste oil barrel nearby, and holding a filthy oil drain pan, walked right under the front of the car. Then, from who knows where, he pulled out a small handful of shiny metal shavings, and silently sprinkled them into the oil pan. All of this was seen crystal clear by me through the reflection on the reception room's glass. I chuckled inwardly. These idiots were so used to scamming gas car drivers, they had no idea that this latest test car from Xinghua Auto used a fully enclosed maglev direct drive motor. It didn't even have a traditional mechanical gearbox, let alone leak that kind of cheap black engine oil. Oh damn. Ah, Long under the car suddenly let out a highly exaggerated gasp. Boss. Big problem. This car's chassis is leaking oil like crazy. Wang Qiang abruptly stood up, putting on a shocked face, and quickly walked under the car. Ah Long walked out holding that oil drain pan, and slammed it down right in front of me. What's going on? Wasn't it just fine? Bro, see for yourself. When your tire blew, the chassis must have hit a big rock. The transmission casing is cracked, and all the oil leaked out. I looked down at the oil pan. Mixed in the black engine oil was a large handful of shiny iron shavings, looking shocking under the light. Wang Qiang reached into the pan, scooped up a handful of iron shavings, and shoved it right in my face. See this? The transmission gears are completely shattered. The iron shavings are all ground out. This car is just an empty shell now. If you dare drive it another meter, the engine will seize and blow up, and the whole car will be totaled on the spot. I looked at the rusty iron shavings in his hand, feeling no emotion inside, even finding it a bit comical. A pure electromagnetic maglev chassis that didn't even have gears was somehow diagnosed with the terminal illness of shattered gears. This was as ridiculous as diagnosing a eunuch with prostatitis, but I didn't expose them right away. The core of scamming, the scammers, is to let the other party sink deeper and deeper into the lies they weave, until they tie the noose tightly around their own necks. I immediately put on a terrified expression, and backed away repeatedly. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I just ran over a nail. The steering wheel was perfectly steady. The chassis definitely didn't hit the ground, and this car, cut the crap. The hypocrisy on Wang Qiang's face instantly vanished, revealing the true colors of a street thug. He violently smashed the iron shavings in his hand onto the ground, pointing at my nose and cursing. Can the machine lie to you? I've been running this auto shop for over a decade. If I say your gears are shattered, then your gears are shattered. You broke wage slave. What the hell do you know about fixing cars? With his roar, the few burly men playing on their phones nearby immediately dropped what they were holding. Carrying oil-stained, extended wrenches and steel pipes, they swarmed around me. 5 or 6 hulking men blocked me tightly next to the lift. The air instantly became extremely oppressive. The stench of engine oil mixed with the volatile smell of gunpowder. Ah Long weighed a heavy socket wrench in his hand, looking at me with a fake smile. Bro, our boss is a famous miracle doctor around these parts. If he says you're sick, you gotta get treated. You're replacing this transmission assembly today, whether you want to or not. I was forced into a corner by them, my back pressed against the cold wall. What do you want? This car isn't mine. It belongs to the company. You're forcing a sale. Forcing a sale? Wang Qiang acted like he had heard the biggest joke in the world, and burst into unbridled laughter. He walked up to me, poking my chest hard with his finger. Kid, go out and ask around. On this highway, Jesuo Auto Repair is the law. Let me tell you, not only is this car getting a major overhaul today, but it must also get an original factory assembly kit. Seeing as your piece of junk isn't worth much, I'll give you a fair price. Transmission assembly plus labor, 80,000 bucks. 80,000 bucks. For an ordinary bottom-tier truck driver or wage earner, this could be their entire savings from a year of not eating or drinking. These animals were opening their mouths to suck a normal family dry. I widened my eyes, as if scared silly by this number. 80,000? Are you crazy? My monthly salary is only 6,000 bucks. Even if you sold me, I couldn't come up with 80,000. Can't come up with it? Easy. The car stays here, parking fee is 1,000 a day. Come pick up the car whenever you scrape the money together. If you dare call the cops, try it. In this territory, who dares to meddle in Wang Qiang's business? Hearing this, the burly men immediately took a step forward, the steel pipes in their hands intentionally or unintentionally, tapping the ground, making a chilling, metallic clashing sound. They thought this mafia-like formation was enough to scare the wits out of an ordinary worker. They thought I had already become a piece of minced meat on their chopping block, left to be slaughtered at their will. I kept my head down, staring fixedly at the oil-stained iron shavings on the ground. My hand in my pocket had already touched the edge of my phone. The trap was dug. Now it was time to offer them the bait. The extended wrenches, stained with dried blood and black sludge, were being tapped rhythmically against the concrete floor by those burly men. Every echo of the metal clashing felt like extreme pressure applied to my psychological defenses. In this shady shop in the middle of nowhere, if I were an unarmed, ordinary driver facing this blatant, violent coercion, I probably would have been scared into kneeling and begging for mercy long ago. But what they didn't know was that beneath my lowered eyelids at this moment, hid not fear, but the icy glare of the grim reaper staring at its prey. I forced my shoulders to tremble, my voice carrying an incredibly realistic sob and despair. Boss Wang, big bro, I really don't have that much money. I only have 20,000 bucks on this card, and that's for my wife's childbirth. It's for her C-section. Please, have a heart, let me off the hook. Hearing the words wife's childbirth, the thugs holding wrenches nearby not only showed no sympathy, but instead let out extremely grating roars of laughter. Ha ha ha, childbirth. If you don't have money, what the hell are you having a kid for? Ah Long poked my shoulder with his socket wrench, his face full of mockery. Kid, is your wife having a baby more important, or is your life more important? Out here in the wilderness, if you don't cough up the cash, forget about the car today, you'll have to leave both your legs here at Jesuo Auto Repair as collateral. Wang Qiang didn't even try to hide the greed and contempt in his eyes. He looked at me like I was a stray dog, his finger poking my forehead with extreme arrogance. Cut the pity act. No money? Go borrow some. I run a shop here. Dozens of my brothers need to eat every day. Your car's chassis is leaking oil, the gears are pulverized, that's an ironclad fact. He paused, his eyes suddenly turning cold. Today, if you're short even 1 cent of this 80,000 bucks, don't even think about driving this car out of this yard. Time was ticking away, minute by minute. I estimated the time. The internal self-diagnostic system of this camouflage test car would need about 10 more minutes to complete the damage assessment. It was time to reel in the net. I took a sharp, deep breath, as if making an incredibly difficult decision, my whole body heaving violently from extreme grief and indignation. Fine, I'll pay, okay? With red eyes, I stared fixedly at Wang Qiang. But, I'm just a driver for a logistics company, boss. I can borrow this 80,000 bucks from friends and family to front you the money. But I have to get this money reimbursed by our boss when I get back. If I can't get it reimbursed, my whole family will have to jump off a building. Seeing that I finally caved and was going to pay, the viciousness on Wang Qiang's face instantly turned into an extremely hypocritical, mercenary smile. Hey, there you go. If you were this cooperative earlier, the brothers wouldn't have had to waste so much breath. Think of it as spending money to avoid disaster, just making a friend. He waved his hand, signaling the thugs to step back. I tightly clutched the phone in my pocket, as if it were my last lifeline, and stated my conditions word by word. Boss Wang, since it's an assembly replacement, I can't just hand this money over for nothing. I can pay you the 80,000 bucks. But you must issue me a formal repair receipt with absolute legal validity. My boss is the type who won't release the hawk until he sees the rabbit. You have to write it out clearly and plainly on the receipt for me. I deliberately raised my voice, displaying the desperate haggling of a bottom-tier worker. Wang Qiang rolled his eyes dismissively. Fine. You stubborn wage slave. Whatever you want written, I'll write it all down for you. As long as you pay up, even if you want me to write that I swapped an airplane engine into this car, I'll write it for you. I followed Wang Qiang into that smoggy reception room. On the desk in the reception room, empty bottles of various counterfeit and shoddy engine oils were piled up messily, along with an ink pad box covered in a thick layer of grime. Speak. Wang Qiang pulled out a red-headed receipt printed with Jesuo Auto Repair Unified Settlement Form, picked up a pen, and looked at me impatiently. I swallowed hard, forcibly suppressing the murderous intent about to surge from within, and guided him to write down that verdict that would doom him beyond redemption. First, you must clearly write the license plate number and chassis number. Second, clearly state the inspection result. The original damaged transmission assembly is completely destroyed. Third, and this is the most important point, I stared into his eyes, emphasizing with extreme seriousness, you must clearly state that the original old transmission assembly has been removed and permanently recycled and disposed of by Jesuo Auto Repair. Finally, write down that a brand new assembly was installed, for a total charge of exactly 80,000 yuan. As Wang Qiang listened, he scribbled crookedly on the paper. Hearing me ask him to write that the old part was recycled by the repair shop, he even couldn't help but snort with laughter. I say, kid, is there a hole in your brain? A shattered gear casing from a junk off-brand car wouldn't even sell for 50 bucks as scrap metal. And you specifically want me to write that our shop recycled it? What? Afraid your boss will think you stole that broken iron shell home to sell for cash. What a pathetic idiot. He had no idea that inside this car, there was no broken gear casing at all. He couldn't possibly know. that the part he just casually wrote down as removed and recycled was the pinnacle of the country's top industrial achievement, a piece of equipment costing 2 billion RMB. The maglev power box prototype. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Wang Qiang very cheerfully finished writing all the terms. Then he picked up the solid copper seal engraved with Jesuo Auto Repair contract seal from the desk, pressed it heavily into the red ink pad, and with a loud thud, an extremely bright, legally binding red official seal was firmly stamped over that twisted text. Black and white, big red seal, ironclad proof. Wang Qiang waved the receipt in the air, looking at me triumphantly. Here, written crystal clear, big red seal stamped. Now scan the code and pay up. Once you pay, I'll have my boys swap the assembly for you right away. I took out my phone, and without any hesitation, scanned the code. Alipay received. 80,000 yuan. The crisp electronic notification sound echoed in the smoggy reception room. Hearing this sound, the wrinkles on Wang Qiang's face bloomed into a smile. He patted my shoulder in satisfaction. Glad you know what's good for you, kid. Ah Long, go swap that brand new assembly for this brother. Outside, Ah Long heard the shout and burst into knowing laughter. They didn't even remove the skid plate under the lift. This so-called assembly replacement was nothing more than taking a high-pressure water gun and washing the mud and oil off the outside of the chassis, and then swapping on a good new tire. In just a few minutes, Ah Long shouted perfunctorily, Boss, it's swapped. This new assembly is top-notch." Accompanied by the sound of the hydraulic lift descending, I watched the test car land back on the ground, and silently folded that repair receipt stamped with the big red seal, carefully, tucking it into my inner breast pocket. The weight of this piece of paper now exceeded 2 billion. It wasn't just a receipt, it was a death warrant I had personally issued to Wang Qiang and his mafia gang. "Alright bro, the car's fixed. Hurry up and drive your car. Take your receipt, and go back to get reimbursed by your boss." Ha ha ha. Wang Qiang waved his hand with extreme arrogance, shooing me away like a fly. The thugs behind him also erupted into a burst of mocking laughter. "Thanks, boss." I didn't give them another look. I turned and got into the car. The moment I closed the door, the cabin's excellent soundproofing completely isolated the mocking laughter outside. I gripped the steering wheel with both hands again, and pressed the hidden start button on the center console. Chassis maglev matrix self-check complete. Status, optimal. A cold, mechanical female voice echoed in the cabin. I stepped on the accelerator. The test car didn't let out any roar of a gas car. Like a black and white ghost, it silently and smoothly glided out of Jesuo Auto Repair's large iron gate. In the rearview mirror, Wang Qiang and Ah Long were still pointing at my taillights, laughing wildly. They thought they had just scored an 80,000 yuan slaughterhouse deal today, completely unaware that an inescapable net had already been cast tightly over their heads. Less than 500 meters out of the repair shop, I parked the car steadily, in the emergency lane of the highway. From my inner pocket, I pulled out that repair receipt, still warm from my body heat. My eyes instantly became as sharp as a blade. The disguise of cowardice and subservience was completely torn away at this moment. I took out my phone, took a deep breath, and directly dialed that red emergency hotline number I was so familiar with. The call was quickly answered. "Hello, Municipal 110 Command Center. How can I help you?" The operator's voice was calm and professional. I leaned back in my seat, staring coldly in the rearview mirror at that repair shop, which looked like a cancerous tumor. "I want to report a crime. I am the chief powertrain engineer of Xinghu Auto Group. 10 minutes ago, inside Jesuo Auto Repair on National Highway 104, one of our national-level top-secret industrial prototypes was violently dismantled and forcibly detained." The operator was clearly taken aback for a moment, but his professionalism made him quickly record it. "Understood, sir. May I ask what exactly the detained machine is, and what is the approximate amount involved?" "The latest generation maglev matrix, power box, core prototype. The amount involved is 2 billion RMB. The air on the other end of the phone seemed to freeze for 2 seconds. "Sir," the operator's voice instantly became extremely serious, even carrying a hint of sternness. "I must remind you, a case involving 2 billion is classified as an exceptionally major case. Filing a false police report carries severe criminal liability. Are you certain it is 2 billion RMB? I was glad. I sat up slightly straighter, my tone carrying an unquestionable sense of authority. "Please immediately search the internal high-security network of the Public Security Bureau for the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology classified project filing serial number XHA-001. The corresponding project leader is named Lin Chen. ID number." I rattled off a string of numbers at lightning speed. Rapid keyboard typing sounds came from the other end of the phone. Just 10 seconds later, the sound of the operator gasping came clearly through the speaker. On his computer screen, that serial number didn't pop up ordinary filing information, but a highest-level red classified warning. The corresponding person in charge's identity prominently read: co-founder of Xinghuo Group, chief expert of the National Key Laboratory for New Energy, Chief Engineer Lin. See Chief Engineer Lin. The operator's voice was actually trembling a bit. This was absolutely the biggest case he had ever received in his career. Information verified. "May I ask what the situation is at the scene? Are you under any physical threat?" "I am currently safe. but the other party has 5 to 6 thugs armed with blunt weapons. The nature of this is extremely egregious. They used fraud and violent coercion to force me to pay 80,000 yuan in repair fees, and issued an official repair receipt stamped with the auto shop's seal. The receipt states in black and white that the original powertrain assembly in my car has been removed by them and permanently recycled. I paused for a moment, delivering the most fatal blow. Right now, that top-secret prototype worth 2 billion is on their premises. This is not only major extortion, but I have even more reason to suspect that this is a premeditated, malicious commercial espionage and theft targeting our country's core new energy technology. If the core technology is leaked, the consequences will be unimaginable. Understood, Chief Engineer Lin. Please stay in a safe area. I have already directly connected to the Municipal Criminal Investigation Brigade and the SWAT Brigade. They will dispatch within 3 minutes. We absolutely will not let a single piece of equipment leave that repair shop. The call ended. The entire municipal command center, at this moment, was like a powder keg that had been completely detonated. But I knew that relying solely on the police wasn't enough to deal with this kind of deeply rooted, local mafia. I had to use absolute capital and legal power to completely crush them from a higher dimension. I picked up my phone again and dialed the number of Shen Bing, president of the legal department of Xinhua Group. As the terrifying female demon of the domestic legal world, ordinary people couldn't even get through to her phone. Mr. Lin. The call was answered instantly, and Shen Bing's crisp, cold voice came through. Shen Bing, tighten the net. I got fleeced on National Highway 104. Not only did they scam me out of 80,000 bucks, but they also wrote me a certificate saying they recycled our 2 billion prototype. The other end of the line went quiet for a moment, followed by an extremely chilling chuckle. To think someone actually dares to dig dirt on the Tai Sui's head, using a fake breakdown to rob a 2 billion patented prototype. Mr. Lin, is the evidence secured? I reached in and touched my inner pocket, feeling that thick receipt, transfer records, full hidden audio recording, and a repair settlement receipt stamped with Jesuo Auto Repair's big red official seal. Black and white, flawless. Beautiful. Shen Bing's voice revealed intense murderous intent. Mr. Lin, you've been wronged. Leave the dirty work to me. I locked onto your location via the car's GPS 10 minutes ago. Right now, the group's chief hacker is fully retrieving all historical surveillance footage and online transaction records of that auto shop. In addition, Xinhua Group's top legal team and PR team have already set out in 6 cars. We bypassed the local level and directly contacted the provincial department leaders. Today, not only will we wipe this shady shop off the face of the earth, but we will also uproot all the protective umbrellas behind it. I'll wait for you here. I hung up the phone and looked out the window. The sky was gradually darkening. Dark clouds were faintly rolling on the distant horizon. A thunderstorm was approaching, and at this very moment, inside Jesuo Auto Repair 500 meters away, there was an extremely fanatical atmosphere of celebration. In the smoggy reception room, Wang Qiang had his legs propped high on the desk. He was clutching a thick stack of cash he had just withdrawn from the bank. That was dirty money extorted from another truck driver just yesterday. Added to the 80,000 bucks I just transferred into his account today, his cash flow this month had already broken 300,000. Ha ha ha. Ah Long. Tonight at Heaven on Earth, drinks are on me. Wang Qiang laughed arrogantly, slapping a few hundred yuan bills directly onto Ah Long's face. Ah Long picked up the money and leaned in obsequiously. Boss, you're a genius. That out-of-towner just now really thought we swapped some brand new assembly for him. 80,000 bucks. I just took a high-pressure water gun and blasted the mud off the bottom of his car. Didn't even touch a single screw. Making this money is faster than a damn money printer. What a broke loser. Driving a junk off-brand car and daring to come to us for repairs, isn't that just asking to be slaughtered? Another thug walked in carrying a steel pipe, casually grabbed a bottle of beer, and bit off the cap. He even insisted the boss stamp the official seal, saying he needed to go back and get reimbursed. He's probably driving that leaky piece of junk right now, crying halfway down the road. Stamp it? Why wouldn't I stamp it? Wang Qiang blew a smoke ring and let out an extremely vicious sneer. My seal is specifically for these idiots who won't shed a tear until they see the coffin. It says in black and white that he voluntarily repaired the car. Even if he sues to the heavens, we're in the right. Once you enter the doors of my Jesuo Auto Repair, even a dragon has to coil up, and a tiger has to lie down. These bloodsuckers laughed wildly and unscrupulously, enjoying the sick thrill of driving others to a dead end. They were immersed in the local emperor dream they had woven for themselves, completely oblivious to the impending doom. Just as Wang Qiang was about to open his second bottle of beer, an extremely shrill, piercing siren suddenly tore through the tranquility of the highway. At first, the siren seemed to be a few kilometers away, but in just over 10 seconds, the sound approached the auto shop at a terrifying speed, like a raging hurricane. This wasn't the sound of one police car. This was dozens of police cars gathered together, sounding the highest level red alert. The beer bottle in Wang Qiang's hand abruptly froze in midair. The wild laughter on his face hadn't even fully faded before it stiffened there, looking extremely comical. B-Boss Ah Long's voice began to tremble. Are they coming for us? What are you panicking for? Wang Qiang forcibly suppressed the panic in his heart and slammed his hand on the table. I've been working this road for so many years. What kind of scene haven't I seen? Brother Hai is our backer, isn't it just? That broke driver calling the cops. It's just a consumer dispute. Let's go out and take a look. He grabbed the wrench from the table and led a few of his men out of the reception room. However, the moment he walked up to the auto shop's large iron gate, he was completely dumbfounded. The blinding red and blue flashing lights almost illuminated the entire auto shop yard until it was transparent. A full 10 SWAT armored vehicles, like a great wall of steel, tightly blocked the gate. Pitch black gun barrels, riot shields, and fully armed SWAT officers descended like divine troops, instantly locking down all entrances and exits. And behind these police cars, 3 extremely flashy black Maybach S680s, bearing Xinhua Group's internal passes, were slowly driving over like ghosts, finally stopping steadily in the center of the police car's defensive line. The door opened, and a pair of shiny leather shoes stepped onto the oil-stained mud. I had changed into a high-quality black trench coat, surrounded by over a dozen top-tier lawyers in suits and leather shoes. I walked expressionlessly toward Wang Qiang. The wrench in Wang Qiang's hand dropped to the ground with a clatter. "Nobody move. Hands on your heads. Get down." Accompanied by the synchronized roar of the fully armed SWAT officers, dozens of pitch-black submachine guns directly locked onto everyone in the yard. Clang. Thud. Ah Long and the other thugs, who were so arrogant and domineering just moments ago, ready to go have fun at heaven on earth, were so scared, they shivered all over. The beer bottles and extended wrenches in their hands instantly fell to the ground. When had they ever seen a formation like this? Usually, the most they dealt with was a local beat cop, coming to mediate a dispute. Today's setup looked like they were here to wipe out terrorists. The burly men's legs gave out, and they expertly hugged their heads, squatting on the oil-stained ground like quails, trembling violently. Although Wang Qiang was barely still standing, his thick calves were already uncontrollably shaking wildly. He widened his bloodshot eyes, staring fixedly at me as I walked up to him. The bottom-tier broke driver who had been wearing old work clothes and needed his boss to reimburse $80,000 was now wearing an impeccably tailored black trench coat. Standing behind him was a uniform row of top-tier elite lawyers, wearing gold-rimmed glasses and carrying briefcases. This aura of a superior was definitely not faked. Police comrades, it's a misunderstanding. This is absolutely a massive misunderstanding. Wang Qiang swallowed hard, forcing a smile that looked uglier than crying. He waved his hands repeatedly at Captain Zhao of the Municipal Criminal Investigation Brigade who was walking over. "Captain Zhao, it's me, Old Wang, from Jesuo Auto Repair. This is just a normal car repair dispute. This gentleman got his car fixed and doesn't want to pay. He deliberately made a fake police report to mess with us." "Shut up." Captain Zhao's eyes were extremely cold, looking at him as if he were a corpse. "Wang Qiang, you are suspected of a major commercial secret theft case, with the amount involved reaching 200 million RMB. I am now legally locking down and searching your auto repair shop." "200 million, Wang Qiang gasped. His sharp voice cracked completely. "Captain Zhao, what kind of sick joke are you playing? That's just a broken, off-brand car without even a logo. I just charged him 80,000 for replacement parts. Where did 200 million come from? This is entrapment. I want to see my lawyer. I want to call Brother Hai." Right at that moment, Shen Bing, who was standing beside me in her high heels, took a cold step forward. This female legal demon of Xinhua Group pushed up the rimless glasses on her nose, opened the leather folder in her hands, and pulled out a document, stamped with the top-secret steel seal of the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. "Wang Qiang, is it? Prick up your ears and listen carefully. That car you called a broken, off-brand car without a logo is an unreleased, confidential test vehicle from our country's top new energy car company, Xinhua Group. What is equipped on this car is a key national scientific research project, the one and only core test prototype of the maglev matrix power box. This project took 3 years of research and development, with a total investment of 217 million RMB. Every single word from Shen Bing was like a heavy sledgehammer, smashing ruthlessly against Wang Qiang's heart. Wang Qiang's face instantly lost all its color, becoming whiter than paper. And no, impossible. He's clearly just a broke loser. That car's chassis was leaking oil. The gears were shattered. I inspected it myself. Wang Qiang pointed at me and roared like a mad dog, trying to grasp at the last straw. "Right, I have proof. I have the receipt. This kid volunteered to fix the car. He signed and fingerprinted it himself. Look." Wang Qiang, looking like a madman, scrambled back to the reception room, grabbed the stub of the repair receipt from the table, and held it high above his head. "Police comrades, look. It's written in black and white. The original damaged gearbox assembly has been removed and permanently recycled by Jesuo Auto Repair. He told me to write this, and he voluntarily paid the 80,000. I'm just a mechanic. I followed the procedure. I didn't steal his stuff," he thought. This receipt was his get-out-of-jail-free card for self-defense. Little did he know, the moment he held up that receipt, an extremely cruel sneer finally curled on my lips. I strode up to Wang Qiang, looking down at him from above. "Boss Wang, did you not graduate from middle school? Do you have reading comprehension issues? That receipt in your hand not only has my signature, but it's also stamped with the big red official seal of your Jesuo Auto Repair. I leaned down slightly, my voice like a death warrant from the depths of hell. This official receipt stamped with your seal legally constitutes an absolute chain of evidence. It proves 3 irrefutable facts. First, 10 minutes ago, my car was indeed equipped with that power box worth 200 million. Second, it was your Jesuo Auto Repair that personally removed this 200 million equipment from my car. Third, as you wrote with your own hand, this 200 million equipment was permanently recycled by your auto repair shop. I pointed at the red stamped receipt in his hand, my eyes instantly turning extremely sharp. Now, the evidence is conclusive. Without any legal authorization, you forcibly detained and embezzled a national-level commercial secret worth 200 million. Boss Wang, let me ask you, where did you hide that maglev power box worth 200 million? The entire scene fell dead silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Only the flashing lights of the police cars nearby flickered wildly across Wang Chang's twisted and deformed face. Captain Zhao waved his hand, and 2 SWAT officers immediately stepped forward, extremely carefully placing the receipt stub from Wang Chang's hand into a transparent evidence bag. Wang Chang, you wrote the words on this receipt, right? And you stamped the official seal too, right? Alright, the physical evidence is all here. Now, hand over that 200 million power box prototype. Captain Zhao shouted sternly. Wang Chang's brain buzzed, as if a nuclear bomb had detonated right inside his skull. His brain completely crashed. Power box? What 200 million power box? He hadn't dismantled anything at all. Ah Long just used a high-pressure water gun to wash the mud off the chassis. He didn't even touch a single nut. Those so-called shattered gears and iron shavings were dug out of a waste oil barrel by themselves and sprinkled in to scam him. But on that receipt stamped with a big official seal, in order to mock this stupid wage slave, he had smugly written with his own hand, removed and recycled. No, it's like this. I didn't remove it. I really didn't remove it. Wang Qiang's psychological defenses completely collapsed in that instant. With a thud, he fell to the ground, crying with snot and tears running down his face, desperately shouting at Captain Zhao. Captain Zhao, I just made up what's on that receipt. I lied to him. That car wasn't replaced at all, and it didn't leak oil. I told Ah Long to sprinkle those iron shavings in. We didn't dismantle his assembly at all. That 80,000 was us extorting him. I admit it. I admit to extortion. Arrest me. Sentence me for extortion. But I absolutely did not steal that 200 million machine. In order to clear himself of the monstrous crime of stealing 200 million in commercial secrets, Wang Chang spilled everything like beans pouring out of a bamboo tube. In front of all the police and lawyers, he had a complete breakdown and confessed to the criminal facts of fabricating the iron shavings, using violent coercion, and extorting 80,000. He confessed everything cleanly. Even Ah Long beside him was so scared that he repeatedly agreed, Yes, police comrades, I sprinkled the iron shavings. We just wanted to scam him out of 80,000. I didn't even pick up a screwdriver. Shen Bing stood to the side, a cold, mocking smirk curling on her lips. Captain Zhao, the suspects have publicly confessed to organized extortion and crimes involving gang-related activities and violent coercion. We have recorded this entire confession on video. I looked at Wang Chang, who was slumped on the ground, like a puddle of mud, without a shred of pity in my eyes. The most terrifying part of an overt plot is that I dug 2 pits for you, and no matter which one you jump into, it's a dead end. I took a step forward, stepping on the extended wrench that Wang Chang had dropped. Wang Chang, do you think admitting to extortion will let you get out of that 200 million debt? As the boss of an auto repair shop, you signed and stamped a legally binding repair receipt. Now you're saying you just made it up? You say you didn't dismantle it, so you didn't? I turned to look at Captain Zhao. Captain Zhao, legally speaking, the validity of black and white text with a big red official seal is higher than a suspect's unilateral confession. His current retraction can entirely be seen as a deliberate lie fabricated to escape the major theft charge of 200 million. Unless he can conjure up that machine, this receipt is ironclad proof. Wang Qiang jerked his head up, his eyes filled with extremely profound terror. He finally realized that this was a dead end. A perfect dead end, seamless from start to finish, leaving him absolutely no way out. If he admitted the receipt was real, he was the #1 spy who stole 200 million in commercial secrets, facing life in prison. If he admitted the receipt was fake, he was a fraudster who used cheating methods to pick quarrels and provoke trouble long-term, a gang-related extortionist involving a massive amount of money. That was also a felony starting at 10 years. The deadliest part was, because of his own itchy hands stamping that official seal, if they couldn't recover that non-existent equipment, Xinghuo Group's terrifying legal department would absolutely make him pay until not even bone dust was left. You fucking set me up, you trapped me. Wang Chang, like a wild boar backed into a corner, violently sprang up from the ground, baring his fangs and claws as he tried to lunge at me. I'll kill you. Give me back the receipt, give it back. A SWAT officer delivered a vicious kick to the back of Wang Chang's knees. Wang Chang let out a miserable shriek and smashed heavily onto the ground. He was immediately and brutally pinned down by 2 SWAT officers, his arms twisted behind his back and pressed firmly against the muddy ground. With a click, The cold handcuffs snapped shut, ruthlessly locked his wrists. Captain Zhao waved his big hand. Take them away. All personnel of the auto shop, take them all back to the station for overnight interrogation. Everyone spread out and secure the crime scene. Forensics, immediately conduct a carpet search of the entire auto shop. Do not miss a single part. Sirens wailed, red and blue lights flashed. Jisuo Auto Repair, which had once run rampant on National Highway 104 and sucked dry the blood and sweat of countless drivers, met its destruction tonight. As Wang Qiang was dragged into the police car, his face was ashen, his eyes unfocused, his mouth still muttering like a madman. I didn't remove it. I really didn't remove that 2 billion iron lump. I stood in the cold wind, pulling my trench coat collar tighter. This was just the appetizer of a grand chess game. The real big fish was still underwater. I turned my head to look at Shen Bing. His protective umbrella, that guy named Brother Hai, any movement. Shen Bing closed the folder, her glasses reflecting an extremely dangerous cold light. Don't worry, Mr. Lin. His proud backer will soon experience what true despair is. The Municipal Criminal Investigation Brigade was brightly lit. The roars and wails from the interrogation room could still be faintly heard in the hallway through the thick soundproof doors. Wang Qiang had completely broken down, faced with a life and death choice between life in prison and a minimum of 10 years. His pitiful sense of underworld loyalty couldn't even hold up for a second. Captain Zhao walked out of the interrogation room holding the preliminary confession, his face livid as he walked toward me. Mr. Lin, he spilled everything. This Jesuo Auto Repair is not only a black site for extortion, but also an illegal transit station for smuggling scrapped car parts. Captain Zhao lowered his voice, a flash of anger in his eyes. Wang Qiang confessed that the real boss behind him is the local kingpin who monopolizes the auto parts city and the underground sand transport industry, Sun Shanghai, known as Brother Hai. I sat on the bench, holding a paper cup of warm water, gently blowing on the floating tea leaves. Sun Shanghai. It seems the size of this fish is just enough to fill the gaps in my teeth for this grand game. Just then, an extremely ear-piercing screech of sudden braking suddenly came from the main gate outside the Criminal Investigation Brigade's yard. 3 black Range Rovers, like rampaging wild boars, stopped with extreme arrogance at the bottom of the steps of the Municipal Bureau's lobby. Car doors slammed, and over a dozen burly men wearing tight black, short sleeves, revealing large tattoos, filed out and lined up directly on both sides of the steps. Immediately after, the door of the middle Range Rover was pushed open, and a bald man wearing an expensive custom suit, yet with an extremely jarring, thick gold chain around his neck, strode down. He was rolling 2 shiny, top-grade walnuts in his hand, his eyes sinister, walking with a swagger. Following behind him was an elite lawyer carrying a briefcase and wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Sun Shanghai, Brother Hai. He didn't even glance at the duty officer at the door, and with extreme arrogance, led his men to push open the glass doors of the police lobby. Yo, Captain Zhao. Still busy this late at night? Sun Shanghai greeted with a fake smile, walking extremely casually to the center of the lobby. His gaze swept around like a venomous snake, finally locking dead onto me. He had clearly already caught wind of the situation, but the false intelligence he received was that an out-of-town technician here to test a car had somehow hired a tough lawyer and used a fake receipt to scam Wang Qiang into the precinct. In his view, the so-called 2 billion power box was just a ridiculous excuse this technician used to extort them. Sun Shanghai walked up to me, looking down at me. Then he pulled a bank card from his pocket and slapped it onto the coffee table in front of me with a smack. You're that driver who called the cops, Lin Chen, right? Sun Shanghai pulled over a chair and sat down brazenly, crossing his legs. Bro, we're all out here in the underworld just trying to make a buck. Today's incident was a misunderstanding. That idiot Wang Qiang doesn't know any better. Played a joke on you and hurt our harmony. There's 100,000 bucks on this card. Your repair fees and emotional distress compensation are all in there. He rolled the walnuts, making a clacking friction sound, his tone carrying an undeniable domineering aura. Take this 100,000 bucks, go sign a paper with Captain Zhao, saying the case is dropped, your car isn't broken, and the receipt was just a joke. Then take your car and get the hell out of my territory safely. Captain Zhao shouted sternly. Sun Shanghai, where do you think you are? Bribing a victim openly in the police station lobby. Do you think my detention center can't hold you? Sun Shanghai's elite lawyer immediately stepped forward, blocking Captain Zhao, his face plastered with a professional fake smile. Captain Zhao, you misunderstand. My client is merely conducting a perfectly legal civil dispute, mediation. Since the auto shop involved is willing to offer high compensation, both parties can absolutely reach an out-of-court settlement. This does not violate any laws. Sun Shanghai ignored Captain Zhao, instead staring at me with extreme malice. He leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice. Kid, don't reject the face I'm giving you. You really think I don't know? There's no damn 2 billion machine in your car at all. You want to play dirty and extort me? I didn't look at the bank card, but slowly raised my head, my gaze meeting his ferocious eyes with extreme calmness. Boss son, did Wang Qiang teach you math? What I lost was a national-level top-secret machine worth 2 billion. You want me to fill this 2 billion hole with a mere 100,000 bucks? If I sign this paper, How am I supposed to explain this to the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology and the Board of Directors of Xinhua Group when I get back? Are you planning to serve this life sentence in prison for me? The corner of Sun Shanghai's eye twitched violently. The walnuts in his hand abruptly stopped. He thought I was asking for an exorbitant price, taking the opportunity to drive up the bid. Good guts. Sun Shanghai laughed out of extreme anger, the flesh on his face squeezing together, looking extremely hideous. On this turf, you're the first one who dares to play mind games with me, Sun Shanghai. He violently stood up, planting his hands on the coffee table, his face almost pressed against mine. It was the cruel look of a desperado, who had walked the line between the underworld and the law for years. I don't care which company is behind you, and I don't care what methods you use to get that receipt. I'm putting my words right here today. If you don't sign this paper today, I guarantee you, and your car, won't even make it out of this city with a single intact piece of metal. You have a wife and kids at home, right? You better think clearly for their sake. Some money, you might have the life to extort, but not the life to spend. Click. The crisp sound of a voice recorder turning off rang in Sun Shanghai's ear. Shen Bing, standing behind me, elegantly tucked a pure black voice recorder into her pocket. Sun Shanghai, male, years old. This audio recording involving death threats and mafia-style intimidation has already been synced and uploaded to the Xinhua Group Legal Department's cloud and copied to the Provincial Department's Supervisory Group. Shen Bing pushed up her glasses, looking at him as if looking at a rotting corpse. Congratulations, you've just added a heavy stroke to your list of charges. Sun Shanghai abruptly turned his head, staring fixedly at Shen Bing. Seeing this, the dozen or so thugs behind him immediately took a step forward, their hands already reaching for their waists. The smell of gunpowder in the lobby instantly reached a critical point. Boss Sun wants to make a move in the municipal bureau lobby. I remained seated in the chair, not even putting down my water cup. I raised my wrist and glanced at that extremely low-profile Richard Mille mechanical watch, which was limited to 10 pieces worldwide. It is now 8:15 p.m. I looked at Sun Shanghai's arrogant face, a cold, amused sneer creeping up the corner of my mouth. Boss Sun, if I were you, I wouldn't be wasting time here threatening an engineer right now, because that local emperor dream you're so proud of only has 5 minutes of life left. Sun Shanghai froze for a moment, then burst into an extremely unbridled, wild laugh. Ha ha ha, 5 minutes? Who the hell do you think you are? The king of heaven? On my turf, let alone 5 minutes. Even if I gave you 5 years, you couldn't touch a single hair on my head. However, just before his laughter had completely faded, the private phone in Sun Shanghai's pocket suddenly began to vibrate and ring frantically, like a death knell. The wild laughter on Sun Shanghai's face abruptly stiffened. He somewhat irritably pulled out the gold-rimmed private phone and took a look. The caller ID showed it was his subordinate, the general manager in charge of the entire Auto City's supply chain. Old Zhao. Sun Shanghai pressed the answer button and immediately cursed. What the hell are you rushing for? I'm handling business at the municipal bureau. Spit it out. On the other end of the phone, old Zhao's voice carried an extremely terrified sob, not even caring that his voice was cracking. Brother, hi, big trouble, the sky is falling. Just in the last 2 minutes, all the upstream suppliers for our auto parts city, major auto parts factories nationwide, simultaneously sent unilateral termination notices. Not only did they cut off all our goods, but they also demanded we settle all outstanding balances within 24 hours. What? Sun Shanghai violently stood up straight, his eyes almost popping out of his head. Are these suppliers crazy? I give them tens of millions in cash flow every year, and they dare to breach the contract. Did they say why? They did. Their unified response was that our auto parts city is suspected of stealing Xinhua Group's core commercial secrets and has been blacklisted and banned by Xinhua Group across the entire industry. If any company working with us doesn't cut off supply, Xinhua Group will directly impose technical sanctions on them. Brother, hi. Which god did you offend? Our warehouse's capital chain snapped instantly. Clack. The top-grade walnuts in Sun Shanghai's hand fell onto the marble floor, shattering into pieces. His brain went blank for a moment. Xinhua Group, that behemoth enterprise with a market value of hundreds of billions, hailed as the light of domestic new energy vehicles. He abruptly turned his head, looking with extreme horror at me, still sitting on the bench, calmly drinking water. Only then did he suddenly recall that when that cold legal woman announced her affiliation just now, she said Xinhua Group Legal Department. He thought it was just some unknown shell company, never expecting it to be a heaven-reaching beast that could make the entire auto industry tremble. Before Sun Shanghai could recover from the massive shock, beep beep, the phone's call-waiting tone rang again. This time, it was the president of the local city commercial bank. Sun Shanghai's hand began to tremble uncontrollably. He shakily pressed the answer button. President Wang, Sun Shanghai, you've damn well ruined me. President Wang, who usually called him brother, now had a voice full of extremely furious roaring. The Provincial Department's Economic Investigation Bureau and the Anti-Money Laundering Center just issued a red freeze order. All personal accounts under your name, the corporate accounts of the Auto Parts City, and the funds of the 3 sand mines you hold shares in have all been judicially frozen. The 50 million bridge loan you owe our bank has now because you are suspected of major economic crimes and mafia-related crimes, been classified by the system as high-risk bad debt. The bank's legal department has already initiated mandatory enforcement procedures. Tonight, they will go put seals on your villa and factories. Beep, beep, beep. The call was hung up extremely ruthlessly. The blood in Sun Shanghai's body seemed to be drained in an instant. His face went from arrogant and domineering to the ashen white of a dead man. 2 phone calls. Just 2 phone calls, in less than 3 minutes. His underground commercial empire that he had painstakingly built over a decade, the capital and confidence he was so proud of, were silently and completely crushed into dust by someone, like squashing an ant. This was the terrifying power generated by the combination of true top-tier capital and a national heavy industry enterprise. In the face of an absolute higher dimensional strike, this so-called local kingpin wasn't even considered a slightly larger ant. However, the true despair had just begun. Shen Bing looked at the tottering Sun Shanghai and pushed up her gold-rimmed glasses, her tone extremely cold. Boss Sun, don't let your legs give out just yet. The best part is still to come. She took out a tablet, opened a real-time surveillance feed, and tossed it directly onto the coffee table in front of Sun Shanghai. In the feed, at Sun Shanghai's illegal sand mine in the west of the city, an extremely shocking scene was unfolding. On the originally pitch-black mine road, an endless stream of heavy truck headlights lit up, a full 200 plus. Heavy semi-trailer trucks printed with Xinhua Logistics, like a giant steel dragon, completely blocked all entrances and exits, and vital roads of the sand mine. Those truck drivers who had once been violently extorted by Sun Shanghai's men, forced to pay exorbitant tolls, now all turned off their engines and got out of their trucks. They didn't make any extreme violent moves, they just calmly turned on their hazard lights and stood by their trucks, smoking. Facing the thugs in the sand mine who were holding clubs and jumping in frustration, the drivers' answers were highly unified. Sorry, the truck broke down, it's being repaired. Orders from Xinhua Group, we leave when it's fixed. This was the second legal dimension of scamming the scammers. Sun Shanghai, didn't you like playing the highwayman and extorting people? Today, you'll taste what it's like to be pinned to the ground and rubbed out by a true torrent of steel. You, Sun Shanghai pointed at the screen, then at me, his throat letting out extremely heavy, bellows-like gasps. His eyes became bloodshot red from extreme congestion, his body shaking violently like a sieve. I finally put down the paper cup in my hand and slowly stood up. That cold aura of someone long, accustomed to being in power, instantly suppressed Sun Shanghai's proud ferocity to nothingness. I strode up to him, my eyes like 2 extremely sharp knives, piercing straight into the depths of his soul. Boss Sun, you just said that on your turf, I couldn't touch a single hair on your head, and now, your capital chain is broken, your accounts are frozen, your supply chain is destroyed, and even your last sand mine has been completely locked down by my illegal logistics fleet. Is this your so-called confidence? The dozen or so thugs behind Sun Shanghai had already been scared out of their wits. Although uneducated, they could see that the situation was extremely wrong. Even their boss had been instantly stripped of everything. Were they, just thugs who did things for money, really going to put up a stubborn resistance? A few thugs even backed away repeatedly, voluntarily raising their hands above their heads and squatting in the corner. That elite lawyer who had been following Sun Shanghai was so scared his face went pale, and he quickly distanced himself, terrified of being associated with Sun Shanghai in any way. Sun Shanghai's legs gave out, and with a thud, he fell extremely humiliatingly onto the cold marble floor of the lobby. That murderous, arrogant attitude from just now was completely gone. He clawed at the ground desperately with his hands, his nails bleeding, and begged with an extremely mournful voice, Mr. Lin. Chief Engineer Lin, I had eyes but couldn't recognize Mount Tai. I was blind. Sun Shanghai, like a wild dog with a broken spine, frantically slapped his own face. Slap, slap, slap. I didn't know you were a god from Xinhua Group. I really haven't seen that 2 billion machine. It was all that animal Wang Qiang acting on his own. Please be magnanimous and let me go like a fart. As long as you drop the case, I'll give you all my money. My auto parts, city, my villas. I'll give them all to you. I looked at Sun Shanghai, apologizing frantically on the ground, feeling no ripples in my heart. Sun Shanghai, you got one thing wrong. If I were just an ordinary citizen, and you impounded my car today, extorted 80,000 bucks from me, and threatened me with my wife and kids, I might really have had to just accept my bad luck. But unfortunately, I hold the capital to crush you to death. I'm standing here today, not for your dirty money. I want to let you, and this group of tumors behind you, you know what it means that the net of justice is vast, and though its meshes are wide, nothing escapes. I abruptly turned around and looked at Captain Zhao, who had long been ready to strike. Captain Zhao, the chain of evidence is extremely complete. Sun Shanghai's gang is suspected of long-term organized mafia-style extortion, violent coercion, and suspected harboring of a major commercial espionage and theft case. It's time to reel in the net, Captain Zhao shouted. Good. He violently drew his sidearm from his waist, pointing it with extreme authority at Sun Shanghai on the ground. Municipal SWAT Brigade, Criminal Investigation Brigade, listen to my orders. Full net retrieval. Immediately place Sun Shanghai under criminal arrest. Split into 3 teams. Seal off the auto parts city. seal off the West City sand mine, retrieve all mafia-related ledgers. Tonight, we launch a thunderous anti-mafia sweep and uproot these black sheep. Clack, the extremely cold handcuffs, tightly locked onto Sun Shanghai's wrists. Like a puddle of soft meat, he was roughly dragged up from the ground by 2 SWAT officers. He knew he was completely finished. Not only was he bankrupt, but what awaited him would be an extremely long and desperate life behind bars. Outside the police station gates, countless police lights tore through the thick fog of the night. Armored vehicles fully loaded with SWAT officers roared out, like extremely sharp scalpels, ruthlessly piercing toward those hidden tumors in this city. I stood on the steps, watching Sun Shanghai being escorted into the police car. The night wind blew up my black trench coat. This grand scam the scammer game, using a 2 billion prototype as bait, finally drew to an extremely perfect close.